Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. We are talking about the books that I read in November. I have had a pretty good just reading month. I feel like every month is a pretty good reading month, but especially since I've gotten back into reading, I'm kind of getting out of my slump, reading slump earlier in the year. It's just been fun. And there's something about fall and winter that just really gets me into reading a little bit more. So I believe that I read, just for statistics, again, it's not always about the number, but just to kind of give you a heads up, I read 8 books in the month of November. So let's talk about some of them, hopefully give you some recommendations, some ideas, to maybe see if you want to add any of these to your list. And as always, please let me know down below what was your favorite or maybe least favorite even. What did you not like? So let's get into talking about these books. Now, I started off the month by reading. I actually was gifted because November was actually also my birthday month. I turned 35 and I will also have a birthday book haul coming up soon, my annual, and I just got some fun books. People of course gifted me books, which was really amazing, and this was one of them because I asked for this book, which may give you a clue that I did really enjoy this one. This is called Eating Brook. And this is a special edition that actually includes the prequel novelette, which I have not read yet. But this is a Regency romance that follows a woman named, I never know, it's as Marianne. And she has followed, so she lives in Bath with her grandmother following the death of her mom. Her father, basically not really knowing what to do, left her with her grandma and kind of skedaddled away to France. And so she's been living with her grandmother. She really doesn't like it. She's not really living her best life, I guess, but you know, she wants something more from life. And so she is invited. She has a twin sister, Cecily, I'm not sure. Cecily, that's how I read it. And Cecily has been in another family, like family friends at their estate. And so she has invited her sister Marianne. She's like, hey, come visit me at this manor. But just FYI, like, they have a really cute son. I'm trying to get myself hitched to this guy. Like, I'm gonna marry him. So just so you're aware, like, that's my goal. And she's like, yep. Okay, you do you, girl. I just want to like go get out of Bath and go and be there. And I just really enjoy this. I don't know how to explain it because in some ways it's predictable, like there's a romance that happens, but there's something about, she has like a run-in. So on her way to this manor, there's a run-in with some highwaymen, and then she kind of is this like little adventure, and then she meets this guy who honestly is kind of rude to her. And she's like, who is this guy? And it's just, I don't know, the way that the story, I just really ate it up. I thought it was so good. And it was really sweet. And if you are a fan of just like a, I don't know, like it's called a proper romance, just like a good old, like Regency kind of historical, like just adorable romance, I think you will really like this. I don't know. I personally really did, and I'm glad that I read it, and I'm really excited to read the little prequel as well. I just really liked the main character, the male main character. I loved his like flirtiness, but it was funny too, and I just love that. That it wasn't, because sometimes I feel like with some historical books, like they're great, but they can be almost like a little dry, where I'm like, you can be proper, but you can also have a personality and be funny and like be, you know, like a fun person to read about. And even though there was no crazy like super fast-paced adventure, there was still like intrigue, suspense, and I really liked it. So this was at a 5 out of 5 star for me in November, and again, I'm just so excited to have this special collection in my library as well. Then another book that I finished in November, I'm also trying to get through. There's only a couple, I think this might be actually the last one, Abby Jimenez book that I have not read, and it is Yours Truly. I listened mainly to this on audio, but I did also read a few chapters here to kind of finish up the ending. All right, so here's this. I love Abby Jimenez, her writing. She's also a Minnesota author, which is really fun. I actually got to meet her this year, which was so cool. And I love her style of writing, her banter, her romance. I really like it. I enjoy it. The thing that drove me bonkers about this, a little bit about it, is that this is the second book in a series from, what is the first one? I can't remember. Is it not Friend Zone? I will put it on, Part of Your World. So it follows the friend from that previous book, which I enjoyed that one. And it follows Brianna. She's the friend, like I said, from the first book, and it's her story. And so Brianna is like, she is a doctor, okay? And she's a doctor who does triage and crazy stuff in the emergency room department. The reason I'm pointing out to you, I just want you to keep that in mind, right? Like intelligent, bright, like quick on her feet, all these things, okay? And so then she's having some issues going on with her family. Her brother's having health concerns. She's going through some stuff in her own personal life. She's getting ready to go through a divorce. A lot of things going on, okay? And then during this time, there is another doctor that comes into their hospital named Jacob. Again, he is like an emergency doctor, all this and this. And Jacob kind of struggles with some anxiety. And so I thought that was really talked about well, and it was interesting to learn more about from his perspective. And I just thought that was done well. But what drove me bonkers, maybe, I don't know, I don't think I'm the only one, but I like this book. But it also is so frustrating because, again, these super highly intelligent doctors, emergency room people, if they would have you guys, just talked, just been like, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's say 3 sentences. Basically, like, this is how big the book would have been. Okay? That's about it. Okay? So, because of the whole time, the funny things happen. Yes, I love the side character, but the whole time I was like, just talk to him. Just talk to her. Like, come on. And then, like, they finally do, and I'm like, guys, so that just drove me bonkers. So it's a little bit of like miscommunication. At the same time, like, you guys are like literally like saving people's lives and like sewing people back together on the daily, but you can't just ask like, hey, so do you like me? Do you want to go on a date? Like, use our adult words, just talk. But even with that, I still did like it. But it just, yeah, I think I gave it like 3.5 stars maybe, because it is just, I love her writing and it's a fun experience, but I was just also very frustrated by it as well, like for a lot of the time. So I don't know, do with that review what you want, but those are my thoughts on that. Then another book that I read, and my goal has been to try to read through some more classics to see if I really like them, my own thoughts on them. You know, what do I understand what made them a classic in the first place? Because some of the classics seem a bit, I don't know, crazy to me, but you know, I don't know. I'm not the classics police. They're classics, I guess, for a reason. Who knows? So at least here in America, right? They're American classics, and some of them worldwide as well. But anyway, so I picked up The Secret Garden. I've had this book for a while, but I listened to the audio and I read it as well. It's not a very big book, but because it is kind of olden language, you know, it's written in the 1800s, and it also has a lot of characters that are speaking like Yorkshire English, so it's a little bit of a different like adjustment to it. And I ended up rating this 3 stars. I think there's parts of it, my favorite parts actually about this book were the ending parts. Actually the last, I think 2 chapters, I felt like they had some of the most profound lines and that I really just enjoyed, and it was from the point of view of the father. If you don't know, this is taking place in England, if I'm not mistaken, and this follows the story of Mary. She was originally born in India, but her parents passed away, and so she is sent to England to be with her British rich uncle and live in his manor. But he is basically gone all the time, and so she's just kind of left in charge of the staff who work there, and she's just supposed to be there. And so it follows the story of her, kind of her childhood and what she's going through and changing and just adapting from kind of coming back into England after living in India and kind of just being honestly a spoiled brat, to be honest. And so it was nice to kind of see her change. There's also, she meets a few other characters. There is a secret garden that has a lot to do with it. I won't say it's anything super crazy. you know, like adventure, fast paced, nothing like that, but it is a very just kind of slow, atmospheric book. And so if you're in the mood for something like that, I think it definitely has beautiful, my favorite part of this is just the descriptions of nature and creation and the seasons and just the impact that they have on us. And I just, yeah, I really love those things. And I feel like just feeling a connection to God and creation, like through what we see and the beauty of it all, was wonderful. I love that. But it was still, I mean, kind of a little bit slow for me. I read this over like several months, to be honest. I just finished it in November. I'm glad I read it. I'm curious to see a movie version. I know there's a few different versions, but one classic down. Hopefully I'll read a few more in the year to come. Then this other book that I read, it is a little novella. It's actually in my cart to order because as soon as I started reading it, I was like immediately add to cart. I randomly happened to find this because it is a Frederick Bachman novella titled "And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer." I had no idea what it was about. I just saw it was a Frederick Bachman. It was a tiny little novella and I was like, yes, I will read it. The way that I tell you that I was reading this at work at the library at the end of my shift. Thank goodness that no one was there because I was ugly crying. If you have read Frederick Bachman and you know his style of writing, I don't know what it is. The way he describes just life and things in life just really speaks to me. It really connects with something in my, I don't know, in my heart, my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's just like, to me. I don't know, my thoughts again, but I loved it. And this little novella, how do I even describe it? It's kind of like magical realism almost in a way, but it follows the story of a grandfather and he is telling a story to his grandson. And based on the cover, you can kind of see they're sitting on this bench and they are in the mind of the grandfather, which sounds, you're like, what? That sounds crazy. But I don't want to like give it all away, but the novella is meant to describe difficult concepts of dementia and other themes as well, but I thought the way that he did it, at first I was like, what? But when it all clicked, it was just beautiful and it just made sense to me. Like, I don't know many people that have suffered with dementia. I know signs of it and things like that, but just the way it was described and created just like made so much sense. But also what was so beautiful that had me ugly crying was the way that the grandfather, see, I'm gonna like tear up again. The way that the grandfather talks, you guys, these characters aren't even real, but the way that this grandfather describes the relationship that he had with his wife, the grandmother, she has passed on. And she is, because with dementia you forget things, but it's just so beautiful. And the way that she's like his person and he, even amongst the dementia, like she is still in his mind, and it's just how he describes it. I don't know, it was just beautiful. And I'm just so excited to get this book because I want to immediately like go back and annotate because it just has such beautiful lines. I just love it. I love it so much. I don't know, it was a 5-star read. Please read it. I think it's like 80 pages, but please read it if you can. I loved it. Then the next book that I read was The Christmas Ring by Karen Kingsbury. I was fortunate to receive an art copy from the author and Ned Galley, so that was really fun. I know that this is out now, and it is also a movie, I believe. Now, I ended up rating this a 3 out of 5 stars. For me, I'm actually kind of excited to see this more as a movie than I was to read it as a story, if that makes sense. I don't know. It had a lot of the Christmas atmosphere, a little bit of like historical elements, like a history mystery going on. This woman, she has this heirloom family ring that has a historical backstory to it, and so she has this heirloom ring. Unfortunately, she loses it, and she's hoping still for a miracle one day to get it back. And she also is a widow that has been dealing with the loss of her husband, and it kind of spans a few years later and her finding hopefully a second chance in another romance. And it's really sweet. It's during Christmas time, small town, and like I said, 3 out of 5 stars. I just think I have not read a lot of books by this author. I know she's very popular. Many of my patrons love her books. I just don't think her writing style is my favorite, at least from this book. I may have to try another one by her, but I feel like I know a lot of her books have been made into movies, and when I was reading it, I was like, man, this would be like a good, like, you know, just like a sweet like Christmas movie. And so, which I know it is. So I'm excited, like I said, to watch the movie. So I don't know, that's my thoughts on that. I don't really know how else to explain it. It wasn't good. It wasn't the best book ever, but it wasn't bad either. I just don't know if it's my style of writing. Then this other book that I read was called You Deserve to Know, and I listened to this as an audiobook. I have never read anything by this author. I didn't even know this book. I've never heard of it. It just happened to be available now on my Libby, and I was like, sure, it seems like a thriller. I'll listen to it. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think I would give it a 4.5 stars. And so what I kind of gathered from this author is that she writes books, how can I say, she is like what Ellen Hildebrand is to Nantucket. This author is to like the Maryland Potomac area, is what I have gathered. So all of her books seem to take place in like the suburbs, and they're kind of like suburbia thrillers. And so there's a lot of kind of like family drama. To be honest, it's not like things I can relate to, because it's a lot of like, at least in this book, it was like these rich people and they have like rich people jobs, but there's like, it's interesting drama to kind of listen to, you know? And so it was an interesting, I'm gonna say I was like, oh, I listened to this while driving to work, and I did keep wanting to get back into it. And it follows a story of these three women. They are neighbors on a cul-de-sac, Gwen, Amy, and Lisa. And so you're kind of seeing little secrets unfold and things. But the premise is that Gwen's husband, Anton, is found murdered. And so then you're like, what happened to him? And of course, there's connections and mysteries and secrets that we don't know about, but slowly get unfolded, because it all looks good on the outside. But is it really? And so, and then the ending is a little bit trippy. Not trippy, but I don't know if I like the ending. I think it's meant to be like a fun twist, but I almost feel like it's either should have then been a little bit longer and explain more, or it just shouldn't have been there. And I don't want to say it because I don't want to give it away, but I still would really recommend this. I like this as an audiobook. Again, I got it on Libby. As a thriller though, I was engaged. I found it interesting the whole time. So I think I would say like 4.5 stars out of 5. So pretty fun. I like it, and I am curious to try out. I don't know, like I said, I think she seems to write more kind of like suburbia thrillers. I'm curious to see if she's gonna write anything else, or I'm also wondering, like, will all of them kind of be similar? Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm curious to try her other books and see if I would like them more, or would it be too repetitive? You know, maybe you have to spread them out. But we shall see. But it was a good read. And then the last 2 books, because then I just kind of was like getting into the Christmas spirit, and I was like, yes, I'm ready. And so I came across these little novellas that are part of a series on Amazon, and I read the first 2 books. They are on Kindle Unlimited. They are part of the series called Home Sweet Holiday Series, and there are 4 novellas in the series. And I read the first one, Snow Place Like Home, and this follows, I'm gonna have to look up the characters. So this, and all of them have to do kind of with the concepts of like going home, and that's why the name of the series. But it follows, the first one is Goldie. She is a veterinarian. I know it's kind of an interesting name, but it comes home after a bad breakup, and then there is her brother's best friend growing up, so like childhood friends. He, I think, is like a football, or no, he's like a Hollywood actor or something, some crazy like job or whatever, but of course she's like liked him forever, he's liked her, but they come back in town for her brother is getting married, and so it's kind of this Christmassy like wedding. Parts of it are super cheesy. It is really funny though. I kind of like the banter. So this one I rated it 3 out of 5. It's just kind of like a fun read. I really did enjoy it. Not anything like, oh my gosh, but it was really fun and I liked it. And then the second book in that series is called Merry and Bright, and this one I actually liked a little bit better than the first one. This one follows Miriam, and she is Jewish, and then it follows also Cal, and he's going home for Christmas, so it's like Christmas and Hanukkah mashup. And so she is going home to her big family for Hanukkah, and she just always feels kind of like forgotten and unseen within her family and just not really appreciated. She's the youngest. And then Cal, they meet each other on an airplane going home, and she really has no idea. And then he's kind of talking about his family. He's like, yeah, it's kind of hard to go home. And so they kind of jokingly are like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we were like, you know, like buffers for each other? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so, which at first I was like, I don't know about that, but it actually was done really well. He went to her house for Hanukkah, like all 8 days, and then she went to Christmas for a few days with his family. And again, even though this was a short novella, I just thought the way it was written and how they interacted with each other, and Cal was just like the sweetest guy. It was just a really good, sweet romance, good story, and it was really funny in parts too. There were parts that were actually kind of dealing with more serious topics about Cal's past and things that he is working through, and it's just, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a really fun read, and I'm actually curious to try out more from this author. I don't know if it's Rosen. I think she's written other romance books, but I have never read anything by her. So if you have, let me know. I don't know. I really liked it personally. So that is the last book that I read in November, and I'm just really excited to get into December. And so hopefully I'll have some fun Christmas and like different holiday reads as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Stay tuned for a Christmas books recommendation if you're curious, and happy reading, everyone. Bye.